everyone, to the R.E.S.T podcast, where our goal is to help each and every one of you displace confusion, chaos, and dis-ease in order to heal and find significance in life. I am your host, Natalie Williams, and I am here with the author of the Reconstitution Method for Healing and Rest, Virginia Dixon.
Nico, it was fascinating hearing the many things that contributed to the man you've become.
Yeah, I mean, it's still an early stage. I feel like there's a lot of very interesting things. Like, you know, what we were talking about sets the stage where I am and where I want to be. Like understanding that I want to free myself of a lot of like conditioning.
You're still in the process.
When are we not in the process? That's
right?
Another question. And what do we want to let go to rise above other conditioning, let's just say? It's
a fascinating question, but in my world, people think I had early childhood experiences, I had high school experiences, college experiences, I got a degree, I got a job, I fall in love, I get married, I have children, raise them off on their own, and then just be happy, and I'm supposed to rest in my laurels, and that's a false narrative of reality. We never stop changing. We never stop growing. Our measures of awareness and deep, hopefully, understanding of things just should never stop. And I think those are the people that really embrace change and healing and transformation. So what I love about your story isn't even just what you shared last week. It's where we're heading into now, because we're heading into a tough conversation where people find themselves. So from the age of 14, 15, 16 to now, tell us what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I got into art school, major graphic design eventually. I did that 6 years. I got into a class with people who maybe connect a little bit more to things. You
bonded.
Yeah, more than with other people. Let's say this school was for whole Austria. It was like a pool for people who think a little different, you know, different ideas of just the general Austrian approach of life and existence.
I cannot overstate the importance of the voice of an artist in these complex narratives that we're having in time. Because even how you express, how you unwrap these ideas, how you talk about your pilgrimage through depression, through anxiety, through perhaps suicidal thoughts, you give such depth and breadth to things that most people, honestly, can't even find words for. And other people are going to say, what the heck are they talking about? None of this makes sense to me. But at the end of the day, in the beginning, there was darkness, and God created light. And light is life, light, liberty. It is a force. It is an energy. There is a creator, a design behind that energy, behind that life, and behind that light. And we might have different words for it, but you do find a method in this pilgrimage in time. You found a message of expressing that. So I'm curious, what did you do with the practical realities?
So, you know, from this point, I must also say there was a specific point when you just said this, like what was missing was some kind of like guidance, you know,
from a parent or from instruction,
like something I didn't know on that point. I was just like, I felt lost for the longest time. But what happened on some point was like, I was like, okay, I understood pretty quickly. Okay, art school is not going to cut it. It's not going to teach me what I want or where I want to go and what I want to learn. I need to do it by myself. So I took additional class of painting and then I started to buy comics and to like literally stop on cartoons and like this position is nice. I learn. So I started to teach myself, you know, but I didn't really know where this was supposed to go. And people also like didn't really communicate to you. It's like, okay, you want to be an artist, you will be a starving artist, and whatever the money you're gonna make, you maybe make when you're dead. you know.
Famous line.
Yeah.
You're gonna starve.
Yeah. And I was like, oh really? I'm gonna show you. You
nice.
know? This is what you think that is your reality, but not mine.
That's true, because you were dying without an expression of that. It was a slow death you were experiencing. But you said something really powerful, and I don't want to take you off track, but you said something really powerful at the end of the last segment. And you said the measure of suffering that people experience is often equal to the place that they're being led to, that they were created for.
Yeah.
And the measure of suffering.
Yeah, but that's also their, you know, that's their perception of reality. This is,
that's right.
Their perception of reality is manipulated, let's say, or by their traumatic experiences. Everything what happened to them in the past is what they project into the future, and they will so project it onto you.
That's right.
Yeah, and this is part of existence. You know, the interacting with other people who have their experiences will shape everything constantly, unless you know who you are. And this is the journey of being free, and the journey of understanding who you are is.
It's a pilgrimage of a lifetime, and there's beauty in those ashes. Talk to me about what you went through.
Well,
get practical about your personal experiences.
Yeah, on that point, you know, every 16-year-old boy goes through very interesting phases. There's phases of you know, you have your first experiences with alcohol, and it's kind of super disconnecting, you know, but it helps in this moment to disconnect again on another level of whatever so to say is going on, or you have like you go through in this life, in this moment, which is, you know, puberty is
complicated,
an interesting place in existence. And I remember, I think it was 2002. Yeah, already through most of the very emo phase, let's say.
Yes.
The emo phase, all the pain of like the first experiences of heartbreak and stuff like that have already happened at that point.
I had that phase.
Yeah. I think everyone had that phase. Everyone has to go through that. I think that is again a very important part of becoming a grown up.
Yes.
And this is like an experience everyone has to go through that. It's just, yeah.
So what happened?
Well, on that point, I remember very well, I was in the city of Graz back then, where the school was the second biggest city in Austria. In Styria, you know, like, I'm Styrian. If that's, I don't know, Schwarzenegger comes from Styria, same as me. So we grew up maybe 20 miles from each other. So
wow.
So a lot of people are from this region. On that point, I was getting into graffiti, and more, this was an excitement. I was like, okay, this is really exciting. You know, I was a 16-year-old kid. I wanted to have action, you know, because like going out there at night, you know, somehow
sneaking
around, you know, the adrenaline, you know, the adrenaline was like making me feel alive, you know. On the other hand, I was just not literally, but shitting my pants. but you know, that was
in some way it was like the hunt.
Oh yeah, and I understood really quick that this is the connection to my forefathers. my down the line, you know, hunting
the warriors,
the warrior. Exactly. The warrior was rising hard on this because I was not putting up with the fact being just always the shy person anymore, the kid who doesn't talk to anymore. I think that kid.
So you found a voice, an expression, a voice.
Yes, and you know, like that started with like, oh, let's go out, steal some bikes, ride our stolen bikes to the track sites, unpack our spray paint, and make our mark.
Did you do beautiful things?
Graffiti. I mean, I was never motivated to just do damage, you know, but it was part of painting,
the rebellion,
you know. At that time you don't really understand, and I had no money as well, so I was like, if I really want to do this, what I said to all the teachers and whatever, everyone who doubted that I can become an artist. If I really want to do this, I have to ditch alcohol and focus and put my money also into spray paint, because I realized a bottle of vodka is as much as 4 spray cans, and with 4 spray cans I can do something.
You, the economy of an addiction, if you can catch it on time, that's sobering.
Yeah.
Eating and shelter takes precedence over getting high.
Yeah. And
if you catch it in time.
And that was the point where I was like, all right. So on that point, I have made a pretty intense decision without even understanding at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
So that night, I went home, I had really crazy dreams, and the next day I had to deal with like an additional math class because I was very bad, because I couldn't focus, because on that point, the visions have completely like infiltrated my life. So school was not on my mind, since I was constantly downloading.
That's right.
Downloading, and I didn't even know how to deal with all those visions. And I already understood that, like, or I
were
had
the visions of art, of projects, of conflict,
art, everything,
of everything,
everything. But it was brutal.
Yeah. So you were getting you felt like there was a lot of information downloading into you, and you had no output for it.
No, I slowly started to understand that painting and doing graffiti does help, but well, some point down the road, I disappeared inside somehow. I woke up in the hospital, my whole family around me, my girlfriend crying. I was like, what the hell is going on? I wanted to go to math class.
And you just had a breakdown.
I didn't have a breakdown. Back then they called it blackout. But
were you drinking too much?
No, I wasn't even drinking too much. It was not connected to alcohol either.
So what did they attribute the blackout? Did you totally dissociate?
No, to really figure out what was going on, like, took us a year, and I had 7 of those episodes, and some of those ended up in literally epileptic seizures.
Yeah.
Wow.
I went to neuroscientists in Austria, the best in this field, and they couldn't really understand what's happening to me. They did EEG tests and CT tests, and my brainwaves were just normal. And everyone was like, I don't know what's happening.
Was it a spiritual experience? Did you feel like it could have been a spiritual? Because you were delving into some really dark things. You were experiencing some dark things. I've had to deal with more of this than I wanted to even ever know about. That's another conversation for another day. I want to have it with you here live. But did you ever associate it with something just dark? Like events, things that haunted you?
Everything at this time
was dark.
But it literally created even more darkness. You know,
that's what it is.
And I feel like that was the first time I really experienced depression, because I didn't know what was going on with me, and I was somehow after the 3rd car accident, and always somehow happened during driving my car.
Wow.
You know, I literally felt like danger to someone else.
Totally.
You know, and one time, like, I was driving, and I had 5 people in the car from like snowboarding, and I literally got off the road and fell down a cliff with the car. You know, and there was like one tree right in the middle of this, just, you know, like my car crashed against that tree and got stuck there. If not, we would have just fallen further down and further down.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was nobody had a scratch, and in 4 car accidents, I never even had a scratch, but I was always gone.
Yeah. Yeah. You were checked out. That's interesting. We'll have to talk about that more.
Yeah.
Did you get help?
Well, you know, they couldn't figure it out. In the last one, I figured it out myself, because I was in the hospital. My parents were like on vacation in Kazakhstan at that point, and I wasn't even supposed to be driving. But I was at a rock festival, and I really wanted to go there. And on the way back, it happened.
on the way back from a rock festival.
Yeah. So, and literally not even far from my parents' house, it just zip, you know. But the funny part is, I was lying in the hospital and I was like, you know, I was telling the doctor, I was like, look, you can make tests, you're not going to find anything. And the doctor came back, yeah, we didn't find anything.
It's like, I told you.
Yeah, I told you already. You know, and I was like looking inside and I was like, what was the last thing you could remember? And then this picture came back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured out that it had to do with a visual presence. Like
I know.
Let's say
I've heard this more times than I can almost tell you what you're going to tell me next. And I want you to say this because I don't want people to feel crazy.
Yeah.
So you remember almost a visual presence.
Well, I got a little bit ahead of it. You know, before this last glitch happened, I call it a glitch now, but I had a very intense, during that time of depression, I had like the wildest dreams and I was sweating all night. And one night I had this very strong presence of some entity, and it was a half rotten white rabbit. And it literally was like, just made one noise and jumped into my face, but it talked to me. It literally told me. And that was not too long after the very first experience happened, when I ditched the alcohol and all this stuff, where I was like, I'm deciding to be an artist. But on this point, I still didn't know where to go with this. But this entity was like, this is who you are. This is what you have to do. Mm-hmm. It was literally like telling me, you shall manifest me into this dimension.
Wow.
Into this matter, world of this third dimension, you know. It's like, it's been telling me that whatever visions I have to bring into this world.
And with all due respect, none of this surprises me. None of it. And I know you're smiling and you're holding back, but it also explains why I instantly understood the complexity of you. And I came back, I was giddy. I just said, oh my God.
She showed us the books immediately, the books of your art. She showed it immediately. She's like, oh my gosh, I met this amazing artist and you have to look at this and it's so complex.
Because he's accessing and he's explaining things that I try to help people understand in the context of rest. And there are dimensions that can be terrifying. They're linked to complex things we don't understand. And I didn't realize this, but I realize this now, that I tend to operate more like logical, reasonable. I'm analytical about these things. And I am more comfortable when I can find theological, philosophical, and scientific evidence all in alignment to substantiate the experiences. And you are the single only person that I've ever met that just a glimpse of your art gave me a window into the portal of darkness that you were well acquainted with, and you didn't quite understand it, but you were expressing it. But
for the longest time, I didn't.
Right. Yeah. But you just said something amazing. And you said this thing that showed up says you're going to manifest to me in your art. And therein lies the conflict that I see in your art, is that voice and that expression. And those of you that are listening, I invite you to go take a look at Nychos' graffiti art, because you're not going to believe he does this with spray paint or spray cans. But it's just fascinating because something overcame you very specifically, and you became almost a channel of this drama that plays out in whatever canvas you have, which is usually cement walls, city walls. And it's fascinating. The things you're saying are fascinating. It's difficult in the world of academics and when people have stage 4 cancer to help them understand the spiritual part of their experiences and the reality of light and dark, good and bad, right and wrong, just and unjust, and of drama and conflict, and how these things manifest in our experiences. Those are complex things because people want the pill. They want the solution. They want the video. They want the 5-point outline.
The easy way.
The easy way out.
The so-called easy way.
Exactly. It's not easy, is it?
It's not even a way.
No.
Sorry, the easy way is not. There's no easy way for this experience, whatever we are going through.
So this white rabbit is the cover of this book.
Oh, well, it's not just the cover. I called my whole business. Let's say, so just to break this down, this experience with the white rabbit, I had it in 2002. In 2004, I finished school. My mom still tells me, like, you came home and you said, you know what you have to do. And then I drove with her to all the car accident places. And I said, you will see what you're going to see there. And because where the car accident was and my last memory was a different place. It was like 2 miles down, So I was still driving, but I wasn't present anymore until I glitched. Right. Wow. The rabbit also told me what it was.
What was it?
It was, so in Austria we have mirrors on the streets, so you can see around curves better, and they are like white, and they have this white red border. It has to be square, and it has to be this right and round border to really communicate to me. And it's like every time before this happens, it's like a sound of a beehive, so a vibration comes up. And suddenly, and I had this since I was a little kid already. When I encountered one of those mirrors, that is literally this feeling of I want to throw up. Kind of, it's literally like a memory sits somewhere in the back, which cannot be reloaded because my subconscious completely blocked it out.
Totally. And this whole vomiting and nausea thing is consistent with what I've experienced with patients having a similar experience into dark, complex things.
Yeah. And
that are spiritual.
And it's been very interesting because clearly there was something going on which nobody could understand. And I was in a dark place.
Yeah,
but
going to this doctor, back at the doctor's office now, right? And you knew this guy wasn't going to be able to tell you what was going on, so you start putting the pieces together.
Yeah, and I figured out, okay, it has to do with those mirrors, and I told my mom, look, I have this because what happened in the night, I woke up from this dream with this rabbit, and it literally told me, go back to the place where you lived as a very, very young kid when you were born. Go back there and see what you find there. And I literally, like, the crazy thing is, when I was in school, I didn't live far away from the place. I was able to actually walk there, and I haven't been there in 16 years on this point, or 15 years, right? So because we moved away there when I was 2, and it was my mom was still studying back then, so in Graz, so we lived there when I was a baby. And I walked there at night, and it was like I have known where to go, but I haven't been there in so long, Then I remembered there was this mirror was right there, because you had to like exit from the from the house, from the garage onto the road. There was like a curve, and there were hedges, and it was this way down, and there was this right in front. There was this mirror, and then I had a memory as a kid that this mirror was already talking to me, and me, curious as I was, wanted to know what this mirror is. I remember very well that it's like suddenly reality dissolves into black spots, and then it's and the funny thing is, it is almost like waking up from a dream. It's like that. So it's like, but I didn't put that together on that point. When I look at my drawings from back then and what I have connected this whole, because I already started to like paint those mirrors and the rabbits and whatever, and I have like a whole cartoon where this higher entity of a muse, a female entity, comes out of the mirror and like kind of like touches me and says, this is who you're supposed to be. This is who you are already. This is what you're going to do in this life. As an artist, you are here to liberate whatever is in this world or in this, in in the 3D world or whatever is going on. I couldn't really understand, but it was I definitely like took it as some magical stuff, you know.
There was a lot of darkness around all this stuff for you. Did you ever see it in the context of demonic presences?
Yes, but also very light parts of it, because suddenly something started to communicate to me. I felt like in this reality I was in a dark place, but something wants my attention.
That's dark, but there's an alternative. So you felt the revelation of things that were explaining some dark things you were experiencing, but you also felt the pull of something light that was calling you into who you were supposed to be. Yes,
and in the sense of like already telling me and understanding is like this is happening for a reason.
Yeah, I made you for more than this. Yeah.
Yes.
I just have to tell you that I respect you so deeply for saying, and I recognize that I'm still in the process of something profound. We have some modalities that I work with, and as a thank you to you, I'd love to make them available to you just to see what part they might fill in this ongoing drama that's playing out. Not just in your imagination, but in the things you're able to access in the spiritual world. And at the end of the day, I always say the body has a story. Our soul has the stories we tell ourselves. And then there's a story right here of design. And those three things, when they come into alignment, wow, that's what freedom is. You know, so I just want to say, it'd be fascinating to say, Nick, check all this out and put this as part of that puzzle. You have a lot of files in there.
Oh, yeah.
I just wonder what it's going to reflect of the things you've known and have seen, both in dark and in light.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is a lot of it has been revealed, but clearly, like, not everything. No. And, you know, here and there, I've talked to people who have similar experiences. But I understand I went through an out-of-body experience and a near-death experience at the same time, 7 times in 1 year.
Well, that's amazing. The spirit of a man is a complex thing, and the spiritual world's complex. The soul, the mind, the heart, the will, the conscience that rests in the center of our chest is complex. The brain is an infinite system. Never to be dominated by anything or anybody. I know people think they can do all kinds of things to each other. But you know what? The soul of a man is untouchable by anything but a myriad of these experiences. But the brain is infinite. So it's really fascinating. There are a lot of parallels in the things you're communicating. You're communicating them differently than Riley, for example. Did a podcast with her, Addiction's a Banquet in the Grave. And she did the last 2 segments. And because I've worked with her so closely over a period of 3 years, it's fascinating, the parallels in some of the things you're saying. And what I believe is the anatomy of an addiction, that until the mental health industry, field, profession, begins to deal with the spiritual constitution of reality, we're never going to stop this epidemic until we understand the function of those 3 components in facilitating healing and bringing wholeness to people.
Yeah, but, you know, those are things, they were on this point where I was. I had so much to do on this point with myself. And I also, a part of mine just wanted to forget about...
Yeah, everything.
Those experiences, like, because I didn't really know.
That's right.
It took me a year. I got my driver's license back after a year, you know, and my life became normal, and I got out of school, and I can finally do what I wanted. I can work on my skills as an artist, and I can travel, and this is what I wanted. So right after school, I was like, let's go to the place which is the furthest away from Austria, and that was Australia.
You went to Australia?
Yeah, I went to Australia for like 6 months. Never been traveling before, and I didn't even speak English at this point, but I was like, I'm out of here. I really have to go as far away as possible to really have some walls which keep me
to where we find peace.
Yes, and also adventure and understanding how other things work and to go through an immense process of culture shock.
Is that where your art began to unfold?
That's where I consciously started to create the rabbit eye movement. And it's still my logo. It's my business. In 2012, I started my business called the Rabbit Eye Movement. Before, it was a street art project, coming from this idea that I'm still like the chosen one to manifest whatever those rabbits want. I painted rabbits in every corner,
Wow.
And I learned a lot about expression of cartoons while I drew them, and I timed them down on 2 minutes. Just how fast can I paint one and how many can I paint?
Yeah.
I have painted a lot of graffiti in Australia. Also got busted in Australia.
So this rabbit eye movement is really your pilgrimage to a place of rest and peace and healing.
Yeah.
It's part of your pilgrimage.
Oh, for sure.
That's what compelled me to him. Mm-hmm. This was it.
Yep.
I picked it up right away. And now here at the tail end almost of this conversation, I realized, the rabbit eye movement is really part of your narrative in that pilgrimage to rest, to peace.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. The funny thing is going down the rabbit hole with all this, because that's what I've been doing. Back then, I picked that rapid eye movement. I picked that up and somewhere, and I was like, I know this phase very well, and this is where, like, a little bit deeper than that, but on the edge of that rapid eye movement is where I encountered the rabbit, and it became the rabbit eye movement because I always wanted to create this. I didn't want to make it from an ego perspective. I'm already Nychos. I'm this graffiti artist, but this was supposed to be disconnected from me on some level. So that's why I gave it another name. It's like another concept. It is literally the street art concept, which I executed since then. Yeah. And I didn't even understand that the idea of the third eye and the rabbit eye is maybe, in my case, not far from each other. Maybe not at all.
You've been commissioned to do a lot of amazing projects here in the United States and in other places throughout the world. Mm-hmm. What was the most difficult and the most rewarding?
I don't think I can narrow it down to one project, I think. Ever since I started this very motivated, and I know where to go with all this because I finally see where I have to go to. And I put all my energy into this. There were so many steps in this as a development, as a person, as an artist, as who, like the person I wanted to be in 2006 or 2007 is a completely different person than I am now, and like the ideas and I always knew, for years everyone was like, that is so sick what you do, blah blah blah, isn't it? Everyone sees it. This is where everyone wants to be, where I was already in 2010, and I'm just there, and I'm saying, I haven't even started. And this is also what I could say right now.
Well, that's what I respect about you. You're saying, hey, this is my pilgrimage to a deeper understanding of these things, but I know I haven't arrived to the fullest expression of what it is to be free yet. Final question. I could talk to you for 3 weeks straight.
Are we done already?
Yeah. What is the greatest?
We haven't even started.
I know. Right? What, at this juncture of rabbit eye movement's pilgrimage, what is it you want to invite people into? Virginia Dixon invites people into rest. What do you want? And freedom. By the way, invite them into rest so they can be free. What is it you want them to experience? This
seems to be a very complex thing, but it's actually very easy, like also to execute for me, because the less thought I give it, like thought here, the more it executes it by itself, because spirit, body, mind flow kind of situation is, it's just I just do.
You just do.
And the thing is, the things I do, if I just do, because I move a lot, where I feel in the flow during painting murals, the visions which come, the things I draw in beforehand, the light or dark, whatever people from their perception of reality project into, is going to talk to them. So I always, with every piece, show both sides
of light and dark.
Do I plan this? And do I have to plan it? It just happens because it comes from down there somewhere.
What do you want people to walk away with? What do you want them to know?
This is exactly what everyone has. For example, like, let's break it down to experiences I've witnessed. For some reason, people are very sensitive when it comes to sharks. I painted a shark in Hawaii, dissected the shark, and I painted a shark for the San Jose Sharks in San Jose for the NHL. In Hawaii, it was like this. I only showed this anatomy of the shark. I opened it up, and it was pretty big, but it was next to a Hawaiian native school. And suddenly I had this teacher who told me I cannot do that. I'm like, what do you want from me? I don't understand. And like, and it tells me that I cannot kill this animal. I'm like, I don't kill it. I show how it works in the inside.
But they saw death.
They saw death. So, and their experience, and then they project those experiences on their kids. So they want to protect their kids of something which cannot be protected of, which is death.
Yeah.
Death. The one thing which will happen to
everyone of us
is death. So 5 minutes later, I have someone else coming in, and the guy is just, his eyes just light up, and so, like, he sees what this is and said, "Damn, that is so sick."
This is so cool.
Yeah, and it's just like so this uplifting experience suddenly.
They see the complexity. Yeah, they see the complexity of the anatomy and of everything.
And before I even had any conscious, I did this because I did this dissection. I did for me. I did dissection for the warrior. I did dissection and anatomy, and because of the deep resting anger inside of me, I wanted to destroy things at some point, but I didn't want to destroy things for destruction, just for the act of destruction. And every time when I feel like graffiti a lot was for me, like, I go to war, I have to fight, this fighting situation, but always also consciously transforming it. I am painting my visions of those destructions and those bad things, but in honor
of those things. Those are complex ideas, and we're going to need to do another segment because this is too much. And Natalie, I know we have another appointment. Natalie's batting her eyes because she knows I will sit here with you literally for 3 hours and not even take a drink.
This is literally now with this topic, we have literally started the actual topic.
That's right. Now we started the actual topic.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
You came to our sanctuary, our place of rest. And we offer this place up to you as an organization for you to come and find peace and reflect and think anytime you want.
I would love to. Thank you.
It's an honor to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, Natalie, here's a new perspective on be careful before you judge art too quickly. There's a heart and a soul and a big story behind it. And the drama of life, between the struggle between good and evil, light and dark, and perspectives goes on, and it's part of the human condition. We need to respect each other in these conversations.
Yes.
That's what you brought to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everyone. If you want to get in touch with Nychos or learn more about his art, please go to nychos.com. That's NYCHOS.com. You can also find him on Instagram at Nychos. We have so many people that want to gift healing to their friends and family members. Due to popular request, we've officially created the Gift of Rest package for purchase. As a thank you to Nychos and a gift to his followers, we created the coupon code Nychos in all uppercase to gift 25% towards the Gift of Rest. For updates about R.E.S.T and this podcast, please visit our Instagram or Facebook, The Place of R.E.S.T. If you would like more information about Virginia or to support and join the cause of R.E.S.T, please go to virginiadixon.com/collaborate or call 949-289-5935. Thank you for listening to R.E.S.T with Virginia Dixon. We'll see you next week.